Hi children, welcome back. This is your ICT sir, and today we are going to learn the chapter 4, working with if in Pascal. So today I have introduced to my program two variables, one an integer value, and the variable name is num1, and num2 is a real data type, meaning by now you know what is real data is. An answer is also a real. So there are two real data types and one integer type. Now as I usually begin my program, and once on top I have declared the variables. Down here I have initialized their values. So as you see, num1 is given a value of 10 and num2 is given a value of 3.5, meaning it's a real decimal number. Answer equals num1 plus num2. Okay, so the value of these two are put into another variable called answer. So answer is going to hold the value of these two by adding them. So it will be, if you think of it, it will be 13.5, isn't it? Yes. Next, I begin with a very important comparison operator. Using the if command, I'm going to compare with the if keyword. I'm going to compare whether num1 is greater than num2. When you look at it, num1 is 10 and num2 is 3.5, whereas the answer is right. If it is greater, then I have another new keyword then, and as I have done in each line, I normally used to we have to give a end line, but here when it comes to a if then else command, it's a block of code. So you do not use an end line here. Instead you go to the next line and it says answer equals, if it's true, num1 into num2. Num1 must multiply by num2 if num1 is greater than num2. Else means if it's not true. Answer equals num1 plus num2, and then you write the answer with a string value. I have add a string value here, and with that string value it will give me an output saying that the variable string is, it's not, you can say the variable not string, you can just add the variable value. Now let's just say the answer is answer, and I have done a very important thing. What I am going to just say is that make the answer is to first of all round up to 0, round up all these small values that, can you remember we had those 0 0 0 0 0 values, round up to 0 and bring after rounding up to 2 decimal positions and display it on the screen. When I run this, I should get 35. Why did I get 35? You should now know, because the computer is, according to my given instructions, computer understands that num1 is exactly greater than num2. So what I should do, or what the computer should do, is it should multiply num1 by num2 and put that value into the answer. So it will never execute the else value because it's not false, and then it ignores this line and goes to the next line and says, okay, round up this to 2 decimal points. Here you are, 2 decimal points. If I have not done that, let's just delete this, the roundup positions. If I do that, see what happens. You will get these ugly values coming up to your screen. To avoid that, I round up the whole thing into 1 decimal point and then made it to 2 decimal points. First of all, you have to round up to 0 and then change the roundup values back again to 2 decimal points. Then you will find it is 35. Okay, so I hope you understood this. This is how you use conditional clauses. These are called conditionals. If conditional, if then else condition. It's a very important lesson. You have to learn this and how the function works. You will have to learn. You have to master it. It's a very easy one. Let's go for another lesson, then you will be able to understand this furthermore. Right, children, when I searched through the internet, I got Pascal for absolute beginners. This is the lesson that we are learning today, decision making, if. So here, if you just read carefully, decision making structures requires that the programmer specify one or more conditions to be evaluated or tested by the program, along with the statements or statements to be executed if the conditions is determined to be true, and optionally other statements to be executed if the conditions is determined to be false. Following is a general form of typical decision-making structure found in most of the programming language. Look at it. Now, as an information, I hope you can remember the flowcharts. So, a data arrives to the conditional statement. If the condition is true, then the true condition statement, some kind of a condition, conditional statement, this is the condition, conditional code is written here. And if it's false, maybe another condition statement can take place or it can end. Okay, so if you go down, there are few decision making statements. You can use if then statement. This is if then. If it is true, then do this, else end. That's very simple. If then statement. You can use if then else statement if you want. In the second, if then else statement. Okay, if there is a true statement, do a true. If the condition is true, do a true statement. If the condition else, if the condition is false, do the false statement. Okay, we will learn them step by step. And then nested if, it is if and then followed with a else if. Okay, another statement begins, and then with another if else if statements are joined to it. You know, it's like a nested decisions. If it is raining, you can stay at home. Else, if it's not raining, you can go and enjoy with your friends or something like that. Okay, so there is another statement we use as case. Case is also a branching statement. We will learn that as well. And the nested case statement as well. Okay, so basically it's a decision making. If the decision arrives a true condition, then a true condition takes place, else a false statement takes place. For you to remember, only thing that you should remember is this is now looking at these two statements that you have, few statements that you have seen, a few if conditions that you've seen. This belongs to if then else statement is here. The program that I have written today is if then else statement. Okay, so the block of code is shown here. Okay, this few lines. Never in the lines you will ever find a colon, because it's a full block of code. It's a block of code. So at the end, if you want, you can just add it here, an end line. Then you still will get 35 as your answer. Why did you get 35? Now you know num1 is greater than num2. Most of you have learned this, so practice at home. You will understand better. The next segment that I'm going to teach you is how you can use nested if in the next part. Okay, children, the next example, I'm going to just put this as if part 2. If part 2 in Pascal. If part 2 in Pascal. That was the first one, was the first. Right, working with variables in Pascal. It's a comment. Var, I have declared 3 variables as integer, and I begin and I assign the values for A, B and C appropriately, as you can see on your screen. Now I am just making a statement if A is greater than B, and I'm going to use another if A is greater than B, then A is greater than B. I'm going to say A is greater than B. Now, and if I run this, obviously I get an answer A is greater than B. Why? I'm getting the true statement. For instance, if I just happen to keep 5 and make it's 5 here and 10 here in B, maybe 10 or 100. Okay, 10. Now I don't get anything on my screen. In my screen, I don't get anything on my screen. Why? The false statement is not written. So let's write another statement. Else, I'm going to write a line saying that. I will copy this and place it quickly. I'll say, I can say B is greater than A. B is greater than A. When I run it, I get B is greater than A because the value of B is greater. So it's the false statement. The next statement, the false statement. It's not the true statement that I am finding. I'm finding only the computer is giving me the false statement. Doesn't matter. At this instance, it's right. But what if I make this both 10? Both 10 and run. Now still I get B is greater than A because still A is not greater than B, though they are equal. So we come to a halting place that we are unable to use another statement saying that they are equal. For that only we use nested if. So we can solve this problem by doing it like this. If, else if B is greater than A. If up I said A is greater than B, then do something. If else if remember to keep space, else if B is greater than A, then remember the keyword then, you have to use then properly. Else if B is greater than A, then write B is greater than A. Let's run this and see. We still don't get anything because at this instant now that the false statement is not given to us. Now the computer doesn't know what's false statement because B is not greater than A is not greater than B. They are equal. Now you can use something called else and write the statement that I really wanted to give here. Right line. I'm going to use a right line over here and say B is equals to A. Or you can use A is equals to B anyway, which is better. And when I run this, I get B is equals to A because none of these conditions are true. Branching conditions are true, so the false statement takes place. I hope now you understood this clearly. I can use another statement like this. I can copy the value of what if A is greater, C is greater. I can use another condition saying if C is greater than. Now children, I can use another statement. I have modified this little else if C is greater than A, I use a parenthesis or the brackets to say that if C is greater than A and, I hope you can remember the AND statement, and with another statement, C is greater than B, C is greater than B, then you can write C is greater than A and B. Now at the moment when you see, C is now 40, whereas B is 10, A is 10. So obviously the statement this is true. So I'm pretty sure that we will get an answer of C is greater than A and B. I hope you can understand the branching, how it's branched, how it is arranged in a systematical order. So the moment when I put 10 here, now they are all false. A is not greater than B, neither B is greater than A, or it is not, C is not greater than A, nor C is greater than B. They are all equal. I'm pretty sure we'll be getting this statement. B is equals to A, and you can write B is equals to A, B, and I can just write here equals C. B equals A and C, or you can write something which is better. You can say B equals A and C or something you can use. I can use a statement like this. I can say B and B, let's just put it in an order, A, B and C are equal numbers. Let's run it. A, B and C are equal numbers. I hope now you understood how nested if work. Now we worked with a single if statement. As you can remember, we worked with if then, and then we worked with if then else statement. Now we have also learned if with a nested if else if, so on. Okay, condition after a condition. So there are three conditions here. One, and then another condition here, and another condition over here, which wraps like a nested if. And if these two conditions are not met, here is the false condition. I hope you understood this lesson very well. Okay children, chapter number 4, exercise. Okay, look at the Pascal coding. Okay, this is P3 Pascal, working with variables. Okay, here I have got few variables. Okay, now the first question is, how many variables are declared in the program? Take a time and tell me what's your answer. You guess right. How many? 2 variables. What are their data types? Integer and string. Good. What is the name given to the student name as a value? What is the name? Student name value is equals to? It's Nimal, correct. ICT marks 65. Good. Now by now you should know only a string or letters are wrapped between single quote. Numbers are not done. Right, now look at this statement. the ICT marks is greater than 95, then he is going to get A star grade. Else, if it's greater than 75, he is going to get A grade. Else, if the ICT marks are greater than 65, then he is going to get something here. Okay, Nimal has something here, you have got it. Else, if the marks are greater than 55, he will get a C mark, C grade. Else, if the ICT marks are greater or equal to 45, then he is going to get a S grade. Else, if the ICT marks are lesser than 44, he is going to get a W as grade. And if one of these statements are not true, he will be getting an error. I hope he is not going to get an error because there is some values given to here. Okay, values are given over here, right? And your question is, what is the output of this following program? I'll give you 5 minutes to write it in your piece of paper and see whether your answers are correct when I run the program. You can pause the video and find is it A grade or is it B grade, C grade, S grade or W. On error, I don't think an error is going to come. So give me your answer. Okay, I'm going to run it. See whether your answers are correct. What is your answer? If you go and see, A is not greater than 95. It's not greater than 75. These two statements are compiler will ignore. It is greater than or equal. It's equal to 65. So I'm pretty sure that your answer is going to be student name. What's the student name? Nimal, comma, that means it's adding another one. Something say got, another concatenation with a comma. B grade, B grade, I hope it's B grade for ICT. B grade for comma ICT. So your answer should be Imal got B grade for ICT. I hope you understood this lesson properly. Before I conclude this chapter, remember, if and then else are conditional clauses or conditionals. You are trying to find a way how to solve a problem. Decision making. They are called decision makings in programming. Any program will have this way. Maybe the structure might be different, but it's the same concept. Thank you for listening. Thank you for enjoying this lesson. I hope I have done something good to you about if then else statement. Thank you. Have a nice day. Goodbye.